Thank you for watching. Hello, Melky here. There are a lot of services that Google provide. So it is not just Gmail or YouTube. There are some others. So, for example, Android is from Google. Maybe some of you don't know about that. The terms of service here, if it's just regular terms of service, it's the Google's regular terms and condition. So if there are two of them like this, if you have a blog as well, now you have a specific terms upon which not just the regular terms that apply, something more specific also applies. Blogger is a service for self-expression and communication. Yes, I do use Blogger. If you guys want to see my blogs, it's one of them is Melkieh, melkieh.blogspot.com. That is my general blog, and I have from there you can browse through some of the stuff. I have some of the thoughts as well as like ideas about physics, about mathematics in a different blogs. I also have some ideas about not ideas. I also have some a little bit of story ideas, short story or maybe like snippets of long story. But about making a whole novel, I found it to be maybe it's not um, I haven't done it before, and still not enough ammunition to be able to continue on. So if I force myself to do it, I guess I have to force myself like routinely and do a lot of practice. If not, I would just continuing on like I would just probably diluting the ideas. So I would only have like snippets of stuff in blogger, but I invite people to use the ideas if you find it to be interesting. It's probably useful for your own stories like battle ideas, like for example world building ideas, dungeon ideas, futuristic ideas, or like a setting where you can see like court ideas or like legislative creation. There's some of the things like that, and I also have some my original game like Quidditch in Harry Potter. I also have a original game there. Anyway, let's continue on. Blogger content policy. Blogger is a service for self-expression and communication. We believe Blogger increases the availability of information, encourages healthy debate, and makes possible new connections between people. Right? I think now when you have the service, it's probably a legal issue to connect it to YouTube, for example, or maybe Gmail. Probably if you could figure out the reason to connect Blogger and Gmail and YouTube, or the social media part of it, Google, I think you guys can make Blogger even more vibrant. But I admit I am not a part of the big community of Blogger, so I don't really maybe from my perspective, there's no vibrancy, only few vibrancy. But maybe from in other communities, a lot of bloggers are making connection here and there. But I don't experience it right now. Okay, and then encourages healthy debate. Yes, healthy debate is really fine. It is our belief that censoring this content is contrary to a service that bases itself on freedom of expression. However, in order to uphold these values, we need to curb abuses that threaten our ability to provide this service and the freedom of expression it encourages. As a result, there are some boundaries or on the type of content that can be hosted with Blogger. The boundaries we've defined are those that both comply with legal requirements and that serve to enhance the service as a whole. All right, so these we got community guidelines and harassment, deceptive practices, pretty similar to YouTube's community guidelines. There are concerns here. There are similar. It would be interesting to see what are the differences. Maybe we visit it in a different times because in a different time, because there are a lot of things here that are also interesting that probably going to be overlooked if we just focus on that. On Android TV, I never used Android TV. Have I? If I had used it before, then I didn't realize it. Well, for you who probably have uh, wife and kids, probably you would have used it already. So, oh, it's in Indonesian language. I don't know how to change it to English. So basically, it says that it mentioned the dress of the company, and then we got age limit, we got third party fees, updates, and your information. Sort of, I am kind of bothered the fact that sometimes it appears in this language and sometimes it appears in the local language. So when I make videos like this, I kind of want it to be just English so that it would be consistent. But as you guys can see, it's pretty long, but I don't think it's a hard read. I think it's an interesting read. There are taxes here as well connected to Android TV, so that is interesting. Tax issue connected to Android TV service. Pretty cool, isn't it? That is pretty interesting. So next we got three terms for business profile additional terms, and business profile policies. Now, business can be pretty hefty, can contain a lot of concerns. You know, wow, look at this, guys. Overview of Google business profile policies, business eligibility guidelines for representing your business, and then additional terms of service for business entities. We expect that you are responsible for the entity. That means following basic rules you must when using the Google profile services to comply with applicable laws and industry best practices to improve your business profile, visibility on Google search and maps, ensure all content is accurate, up to date, and complete. So this is the thing. And supply all required disclaimers, warnings, and notices, or if you rely on any supplied by Google, ensure their sufficiency for your entity. Comply with the policies that apply to the business profile services or policies. And there's another link. So that we got a rule within the rule. Oh, so this one. All right. That is interesting, guys. Okay, so if you have a business profile, for example, in Google Map, a lot of people would already have business profile. I also have kind of explored it as well, and this is the thing that is this kind of define the fence between you and Google. That is let's move on to calendar. In calendar program policies, we got very short terms right here. As set forth in the terms and condition, calendar may refuse to host public calendar or event, right? I think that's sensible because um, you know the, you often find this, right? If you have a service that that could be used by both businesses for commercial purposes and us as individual users, you would have a lot of text of terms and conditions. Now, like such a public calendar event is a very good idea. And it is only natural, if you have access to Google Calendar, you kind of want to be able to use it if you have a community. That is very cool. But try your best, to use the a specific application for that, because if, as you guys could see here, um, Google Calendar is more like um, wait, as set forth in the terms and condition, Google Calendar may refuse to host public calendar. Um, it's more, I wanted to say it's more like private usage, but reading at the terms and condition right now, seems like there are ways that you can use it for public. So I should ignore my point, my previous point. Let's read on. Posting illegal content such as defamation or activities that promote illegal behavior like illegal gambling, using Google Calendar to invade the personal privacy of other users, violations of copyright. Please see our DMCA policy. Using Google Calendar to send spam or exchange malicious code or viruses, promote hate or incitement of violence. The content of public events postings should be accurate and generally suitable for all ages. We may change these policies at any time without notice. So, wow, I think for an application that is this personal, the calendar, you would want to use calendar for personal purposes. These are like a blessing in disguise. I think this is underpriced. If I were to trade shares, this thing is underpriced. I think you guys, if you explore this, you probably can benefit a lot from this. This is a technology that is, in my opinion, overlooked, because I expected that, a like YouTube for business and YouTube for personal purposes would be like there are lines, that set it apart. But this one, it's pretty rare. It's like back to the past. Like people don't really or put a specific restriction on things like this. It's a blessing in disguise. So not only terms wise, where your country's laws probably apply for things that are not regulated in the general terms and condition for this specific application. Yes, calendar is very simple, by the way, but also um, I'm trying not to encourage you to abuse some stuff, but as you guys can read here, don't send spam or malicious code or viruses. But this could be the start of something big. Using Google Calendar, we know that nowadays it's hard to connect with people. It's hard to organize social activities, but now we are being enabled. um, from the top of my head, for example, your old schoolmates, probably you can communicate, probably even chat in the calendar surface, right? You can probably bully somebody through calendar, or maybe you have church meeting straight from the calendar. I think I can. No, what do you mean by that? I think, yeah, I think you can. Like it's I don't want to be too detailed. Let's continue on. Google Chrome and Google OS additional terms of service. But I think it's very nice. Google Calendar is very nice. Google Chrome and Chrome OS additional terms of service. By using Chrome or Chrome OS, you agree to the Google terms of service located at policies.google.com terms. And this Google Chrome and Chrome OS additional terms of service, this is a little bit weird, because I would expect Google Chrome to have a lot of terms. This is weird. AVC, this product is licensed under AVC patent portfolio license for the personal use of a consumer. or other uses in which it does not receive remuneration to encode video in compliance with the AVC standard or AVC video, and or decode AVC video that was encoded by a consumer engaged in personal activity, and or was obtained from a video provider licensed to provide AVC video. No license is granted or shall be implied for any other use. Additional information may be obtained from MPEGLA, LLC, see www.via.la.com. Like MPEG format here is very successful. Congratulations for them, especially being in a Google, being highlighted like this, and the only license over here is, I think, if I made a program and it passed through uh, s- companies such as Google like this, I think that would be so cool. And Google Chrome and OS additional terms of service, guys, this is so nice. Google Chrome has only this very very user friendly additional terms of service. It's trying to say that Chrome is available free of charge, the source code under open source software license agreement at Chrome credits. Most source code. Your use of certain components of Chrome and Chrome OS is subject to the following terms. Wow, what? Oh, wow, this is so free. Guys, it's so free. And the problem is then if you have such free services, such nice services available to us, we also should band together to go to the most fundamental layer in our society. Would be the law, of course. If um, simple connectivity like this that doesn't put you in a lot of liability, meaning the service or the app is bringing people together by not demanding much. This is so nice from Google. Like they don't demand much. You don't have to worry a lot about your property and what could damage your property without you realizing it. That is so they're taking care of us. But then the problem would be now at the low layer, right, guys? When you're dealing with the law, because instead of straight up contract, um, we're gonna we're going to higher ups field right now, which is the law, and the law is going to govern what's fair or not within contract. So if you have a good law, you can rest assured that you've been taken care of. But if you have a very very like the law that you hate, things as simple as this is going to allude to that law of your country. So if you live in a dictatorship country and you have things like this, um, the things like this is going to rely on local laws a lot. So we got to band together, right? We got to band together and improve the law, because people always being not, you know what I mean? They're not being very mm, sympathetic towards the law, while it is actually how it works. It's just how culture, and then it would cycle through become the law. But people nowadays are distracted because I think it is related to housing bubbles, where people have a lot of credit and they want to get the job done as fast as possible and as routinely as possible regardless of seasons, because they are being pressured from many sides. The one of the biggest side is the pressure from regular payments of credits, right? So they just say, oh, the law is bullshit, right? Because they just want to get things done, and the law often slows things down. But I think that is a misconception. If a lot of us care about the law, The law would be the only things that slows us down. Everything else should be okay because the law is it's already included in the law. Now if you got messed up law that people actually don't care, it's going to build up momentum towards higher and higher entropy, and what's going to happen is a lot of things are not relevant anymore, and you got to deal with it yourself without being together in the law. Yes, I know culture is a thing, but culture is really like how big is your attention span, right? All of y'all attention span is right. And also, if y'all have a bad paradigm, that means your judgment is going to be pretty unfair against some people. Like you ostracize people that are innocent, but it's human being thing, and you can't avoid it. But if you articulate your your biggest concerns, your most bloody, your most expensive concerns within the law, you can read it and see the logic and say, oh, at first I thought it's nice, at first I thought it's compassionate, it's good, but it turned out to be a crazy idea, right? So you got to articulate it, write it down, and actually go through the procedures, what it takes to make it into a law. So after going through that, not just people's ego, but people's ego being um, like massive humbling of all of the people's ego, and gave birth to the tree that is the law. It seems like a simple thing that people like, oh, it's a straightforward thing, but it's different, guys. It's another animal, it's another mass. You know what I mean? Let's continue on, otherwise we're not going to go anywhere. Connected home. Nest terms of surface. Nest. Wow. Is it a home or is it a nest? Suspicious. To use Nest devices and surfaces, you must accept the Google terms of service and these Nest additional terms of service. um, Please read each of these documents carefully. Together, these documents are known as the terms. They establish what you can expect from us as you use our services and what we expect from you. If these additional terms conflict with the Google terms of service, these additional terms will govern the next services. The Nest devices and services for purposes of the additional terms consist of the following Nest branded hardware devices and features. Collectively, Nest devices, Nest thermostats, Nest cams, and any Nest branded smart display device that includes a Nest Cam feature, Nest video doorbells, Nest security alarm systems, Nest door locks, Nest Smoke CO alarms, and cameras manufactured by a third party that can be entirely set up via the Google Home app and feature the Works with Google Home badge on their packaging. What is this, guys? I've never used it. Google Home Premium, Nest Aware, or a similar connected home service offered by Google Nest, and the services we provide in connection with the Nest devices, such as the Nest web apps, Nest mobile apps, the Google Home app, but only when used to manage these Nest devices and services and other connected home services we provide that are built specifically for these devices, including any subscription service such as energy programs, but excluding Google services such as Google Assistant, YouTube, Google Maps, Google Duo, and the like, that can be used with the Nest devices and also with other Google products or devices. So probably someone came up with this idea where you would like kind of do some seamless connection with other apps, as I said before, with Google Calendar, right? And then do a lot of stuff. I think Google Calendar has the potential to do this like Google Maps, right? Google Maps is connected to Google Search. Maybe if you can combine Google Calendar with Google Maps together, and that would be like another world, right? You can put it in VR. That is insane, right? It's not just maps as the front end, maybe calendar as a front end, for example, and then the back end is the Google Maps. Whoa, what is that? That is so nuts. So like, um, you can right, and at this date, you can see what are the locations that are there that you're going to visit, for example. These are, but that is highly for adventurer type of people. So Google Calendar would be whenever you browse through dates, you are also kind of, see places that you've been, and locations where significant events happened. And I guess it's nice, then you would think of another technology again, which is I'm already cooking in my head right now. Probably I can sell this. Okay, age requirements. You must be at least 13 years old to use the Nest devices and services, or such great age as required in your country for you to be authorized to use the Nest devices and services without parental approval. However, such age limits do not restrict your use of Family Link managed Google account, where otherwise permitted with any Nest devices and services. Okay. So what if, right, as young kids or toddler, you have like the Google version for kids? I know it's already available. I don't mean to reinvent the wheel here. What I'm trying to say is that if you're young, you can, like, you can play with train. You don't actually go to train, and play with a real train. Maybe you break things apart, but Google is more like that, like make Google for Google toy instead of Google Kids, Google Toys. So you play around with Google, you play around with Google Maps and stuff like that, but none of that is actually real, so that the kids would understand how to use all of these apps. I think, Google Toys. Don't you think it's nice? It's a nice idea. Next, using Nest services. Nest services, when you use a Google account with Nest devices and services, Google will provide the Nest devices and services to you, but it may engage Nest Labs and other affiliates or companies as service providers to provide some or all of the Nest devices and services to you, acting on Google's behalf and subject to Google's instructions. And to the extent you sign up to any program terms with third-party partners or programs integrated with the Nest devices and services, such as energy programs, any references to the Nest terms of service in those program terms will mean the terms, and any reference to Nest privacy policy will mean the Google privacy. So nice. That is so nice. Look at all of these stuff that you can do, even like some kind of grid contribution seam or something like that. All of this great, powerful stuff that's going to make your life significantly easier. Only use the same Google privacy policy. I think it's a very confident move. I like that a lot. And probably because this is Google, right? I hope they have carefully thought about this, and that is like more and more like the people who can do this, is a step closer towards singularity. Next, statutory guarantees. Legislation in some jurisdiction may imply warranties, conditions, or guarantees, or impose obligations which provide you with certain consumer rights under applicable law. In some jurisdictions, such provisions cannot be excluded, restricted, or modified except to a limited extent, and these terms must be read subject to such statutory provisions. At the end of the day, when you created a contract between people, it is the country's law or the laws within countries that kind of sanction it, that had become like the base layer of it. And then automatic software updates. We may from time to time develop patches, bug fixes, updates, upgrades, and other modifications to improve the performance of the Nest devices and surfaces. This may be automatically installed without providing any additional notice. What? What? Oh, or receiving any additional permissions from you. This is, first of all, it's not with Google services, some other company services. I found that the company, like the company's AI, initiatively changes my work. Like I was just having a conversation about how to solve a problem, right? It went there and changes it itself. And like, what have you done? It's nice though, like it's pretty practical. I'm not gonna deny that it is very user friendly. Maybe it's well thought of, such action, but I was pretty surprised that it would just go went in there and did it himself without me. I thought it was just conversation, and then he provided me with some suggestions, and I'm the one who did it, but he did it. It did it itself on my work by its own initiative. So it's kind of sus the future that we are facing. Are we going to face of the future where AI would be allowed to edit our contents based on their own initiatives? The worst thing would, I would imagine, would be censorship. But another bad thing as an implication is that we are building towards momentum where we would allow these agents, human, not just AI, human agents that supervise the AI, to do it themselves as well. Like they would come in into our house. Let's say this is Google Nest setup. They would came in into our house and unlock the door themselves because somebody in the house is perceived to have an emergency situation. So something like that. Wow, it had never been a problem before, right? Then we are going to think about it, and probably we're gonna get used to it. And at the end of the day, we're gonna rely on it. Wow, how stupid are we going to be, right? But anyway, let's think about that later. There's so many things to go through. um, there's so many things to go through. This Google Nest thing, it is important because it involves your personal space, and you're giving up access to your personal space to the company. So that is, I mean, the massive size of the legal contract is to be expected, but I think it's still sus, all right. And then crowdsource nice course builder is from Google Docs Drive. Docs, Google Drive terms of service abuse program policies enforcement. How would you abuse people using Google Docs, using spreadsheet and words and PowerPoint? Let's read it, guys. The program policies below apply to Drive, Docs, Sheets, Slides, Forms, Feeds, and the new sites. This policy play an important role to maintain a positive experience for everyone that uses Google products. We need to curb abuses that threaten our ability to provide these services, and we ask that everyone abide by these policies below to help us achieve this goal. We may review content for violations of these policies and take action. This review includes access restriction of content, removal of content, and limitation or termination of a user's access to Google products. Any restriction pursuant to these policies apply globally unless noted otherwise. What is this? Why? I like, for example, I write down dirty words in my word processor, and it would not like it. If you believe someone is violating the policies, how why is this like an offense? Every all your applications are very personal. So I guess in a collaborative situation where co-workers could edit one spreadsheet or one word document or whatever application that would be collaborative application, someone would prank another coworker, I guess, using Google, and Google would be mad about it. Google. I don't understand. There's child grooming using Google Docs. What? Circumcision using Google Docs might as well be if Google Docs is that powerful. I couldn't imagine. I don't want to know actually, but it's the law, it's the contract, it's a property fence. So I think I got to know now. Harassment, bullying, and threats. Do not harass, bully, and threaten others. We also don't allow this product to be used to engage or incite others in these activities. This includes singling someone out for malicious abuse, threatening someone with serious harm, sexualizing someone in an it's a Google Doc. It's a Google Doc exposing private information. Oh, okay, of someone else that could be used to carry out threats. I already have a picture in my head, and it's not about exposure of, it's about another types of exposure and disparaging or belittling targets of violence or tragedy, and inciting others to carry out this activity. How? In Google Docs. It's in YouTube comments, probably something that is relevant. In Google Docs, you do it for work at most. And what happened here? This why all of these, it's even more tidy. It's even more well thought out than the presentation of YouTube guidelines, or not YouTube guidelines, in the, what was it, the guidelines of Google Chrome, or what was it that we were reading about Google? There's another, I forgot what's the name. It looks so tidy, it's so nice. It's like being made by a lawyer, like a professional lawyer, the lawyer's manager themselves. It's pretty serious, guys. It looks like. Personal confidential information. Do not distribute personal confidential information without authorization. Do not collect personal or confidential information. It's acting like it's a social media. How a Google Doc is being used like a social media? That is pretty weird. Content use and submission. It's like a game. You think? It's more like rules for a game, uh like an MMO. Do you think? Right? What happened here? Why are we doing this? Is so weird, but interesting, nonetheless. And I think I have talked too much, but there are so many more things to go through. Even Google Translate has something. No, it doesn't. It just uses terms of service. Tenor, what is this tenor? Interesting stuff, new stuff. Um, I'll be glad to explore it. What is the Sheets is separate from Google Docs? Google Docs is separate with Sheets. I gotta know about this. I think I'm missing something here. By the way, so thank you guys for watching. It's been a nice experience. And goodbye for now. Hopefully, somebody could leave a message. It seems like no one is watching. So, goodbye.